Hey guys, it's Keeley, and today we're going to be talking about the lovely book Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I just recently reread this book, and so I thought that I would do a little book talk in anticipation for Lord of Shadows, which comes out tomorrow as I am filming this, and I am so excited. Okay, I decided like at the last minute to reread this, and I'm so glad I did. I went through it for like 3 days. I went real quick, and it's like super long, and I actually tabbed, and I'm really proud of myself because I rarely tab books, but I had so much fun rereading this and just tabbing it. All the blue ones are Julian because he's the love of my life and I absolutely love him. But I just wanted to let y'all know that this book talk is probably going to be pretty much with spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled at all, I'm sorry, but go read this first and then come back and watch this and then read Lord of Shadows. It's great. I love it. I also read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy after I read this, and it was just so good. But okay, I'm just gonna do a real quick synopsis just in case, like, refresh some of the memories, you know? This is set after the events that happen in City of Heavenly Fire, and it follows a whole new family, and I am obsessed with this family. It follows the Blackthorn family, which you see a little bit in City of Heavenly Fire, but you really get to know them more, and it happens, I think, 5 years after the events in City of Heavenly Fire, so they're older, and it follows, like I said, the Blackthorn family, and the oldest one that's there is Julian, the love of my life, and he has to take care of his 4 siblings. There's Ty, Livy, Drew, and Tavi. And Tavi's the youngest one. He's the little baby, and we'll get into the siblings in a little bit. But also living there with them is his uncle Arthur and his parabatai Emma, and I love Emma Carstairs so much. But anyway, they're just the cutest thing. They're all so cute, and I love them. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. But anyway, so it follows them. They live in the Los Angeles Institute, and years previously, during the war, Emma's parents were murdered in this really crazy way. Like, they looked like they were drowned and there were markings all over them, and so the Clave always said that it was Sebastian that did it, but Emma believes otherwise, and so if Emma believes it, Julian believes it. So these murders have started popping back up again, so Emma decides to investigate, and basically it's just all about that, her investigating the murders. Crazy things go down, but I want to get into some of the characters deeper because I am obsessed with these characters. They're some of my favorite characters of all time. I love the way Cassandra Clare details each character and each personality so great. So of course, we're gonna start with Julian Blackthorn. Okay, so in this book, he's, I believe 17 years old, or 17, 19, one of those. Either way, he shouldn't be a father of 4, but he is because his father died in the war, and his older brother got taken by the Wild Hunt, and his older sister got banished to Wrangel Island to live in the cold. And so Julian has to take care of his 4 younger siblings, and he has given up so much. Like, I am so proud of him. He is such a good parent when he, like, shouldn't have been the one to have all this responsibility, but he's taken care of them so well and raised them so well, and Julian, I just love him so much. Like, we're gonna go through these tabs in a little bit, we're gonna talk about how much I really love Julian. But then, after Julian, Emma Carstairs, like I said, his parabatai, and she is like the reckless, kind of like fearless girl, just trying to do what she thinks is right, and her and Julian just go together so well, and I love that they're parabatai, but also I wish that they weren't because I want them together so bad, but we'll get to that later. And so, onto the siblings, we have Ty, and I love Ty. He's one of my favorite Blackthorns, and I really think that he is the perfect epitome of anxiety in this world, because you read about Ty and you start to find out that he's a little different than normal shadow hunters, but he's also there when you need him to be, and he's so smart, and also he's obsessed with Sherlock Holmes, and so am I. But I really appreciate how Cassie Clare wrote, like, him with anxiety and put that character into this world that you really can't have anxiety in this world being a shadow hunter, but I really appreciated that she did that for Ty. And then his twin sister Livy, I absolutely love them together because they're complete opposites, but they're still best friends, and they don't do something without the other one there, and they're always there for each other, and I just love that so much because their personalities are so different, but they're still like together and the same, and they love each other so much, and I just love their family love. It's great. And then you have Drew, and okay, I say Drusia. I don't know if it's Drusilla or Drusia, but I say Drusia. They call her Drew, and she's like the middle one, and we don't know too much about her, so Lord of Shadows theory, I think she might die, but we do know that she loves horror films, and girl, like, she's 13, I believe, and she's just really great because she just loves the horror film thing, and she's just like her own person. Like, Julian describes her pajamas a lot, and she always wears like skull and crossbone, like that type of thing, like haunted Halloween-y type thing, and that's basically her. That's pretty much all I know about her. I'm really hoping we do find out more about her, but honestly, if a Blackthorn dies, I think it's going to be her, but we shall see. And anyway, the last Blackthorn that's in the Institute is Tavi, and he's the little one, and honestly, I thought he was younger than he actually is in this book, because in this book I feel like he's portrayed a little bit younger, but he's actually 7, whereas I thought he was like 5. But he's the baby of the family, so of course he's gonna be like babied, but he's still so smart, and like you could tell he's a shadow hunter through and through, because like when they're trying to figure out things, Tavi is like, well, what about this? And they're like, wait a second, you just figured it out, son. And I really like him, and it's really great. And so I love the Blackthorns. And then the 2 other Blackthorns, okay, Mark Blackthorn, I love him so much too. Okay, Lord of Shadows theory, I think Kieran's gonna die, and honestly I really, really hope he dies because I want Mark with Christina, but we will see. And anyway, Mark, you know, he's half fairy, half shadow hunter, which basically means he's pretty much all shadow hunter. He was taken by the Wild Hunt, and in a series of events, part of the Wild Hunt comes, and they're like, if you figure out these murders for us, we'll give Mark the choice of staying with you or coming back to the hunt. The whole time you're like, oh, he better choose to stay with his family. And then there's parts and you're just like, I honestly don't know if he's gonna choose to stay with his family or not, but you're still hoping. And then he's just like the sweetest little thing, and part of his like fairiness comes out in the way that he talks and his speech and his like almost like elegance. But I just love Shadowhunter Mark so much, and you could like kind of see the character development between fairy to Shadowhunter. And when Mark first gets reunited with his family, you could tell he's been tortured and abused and just in this terrible world, because fairy time is way different than Shadowhunter time. So he's been gone for like 5 years, but in fairy time that's like decades or something. And so my heart goes out to him and Julian. It really, really pains me when Mark is like screaming and crying and doesn't recognize his family, and he calls Julian Andrew his father's name, and it's just Julian has to deal with the kids and has to deal with getting Mark reaccustomed. And this is where Christina comes in. Christina is the real MVP when it comes to Mark, because she didn't know Mark beforehand and Mark didn't know her, so it's like easier for him to come back into this world because Christina doesn't have any expectations for Mark. And it's cool because she actually came to the Los Angeles Institute because of Mark Blackthorn, and then she's the reason that he is like back to normal and back to being a shadow hunter. And she just really helped him through it, but also kind of salty at her because she kind of led him on, because as soon as Perfect Diego came back, she was like, oh, Diego, Mark who? Okay, seriously, Christina. Also, Lord of Shadows theory, I really hope that Perfect Diego dies, because like I said, I want Christina and Mark together so bad. So anyway, Christina's great to Mark, and I just really love that friendship that they had there, and how Mark realized maybe the shadow hunters aren't all bad, because here's my great family, and then here's this other shadow hunter, Christina, who's great. Maybe it's the fairies that are actually bad. And so I really liked that relationship, because Christina pulled him back into the real world, and I really can't wait to see Mark. But the way that this ended, because he saw Christina with Perfect Diego and he was just like, maybe I was wrong, maybe I shouldn't have come back. And I was like, no, you should have come back. Christina is wrong. Perfect Diego needs to get out of here, and Christina needs to be with you and just love you forever. And it was just really sad. But also Helen Blackthorn, I love her too. Okay, in the Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy you see her more, and so I really fell in love with her after that book. In this book you don't see her you don't see her at all, but they talk to her a bunch, and she gets married to, or in this book she's already married to, I don't know how to say it, is it Aline Penhollow, the consul's daughter, and it's just cute because she is banished to this island, but she's still so happy because she does have her wife, and it's great. And I really hope that in Lord of Shadows we see them all reunited, because I would love to see that, especially Mark and Helen, who are like full-blooded brother and sister, so that would be really awesome. Also in this book you do get to see some old characters that we all knew and loved in the City of Bones series and in the Infernal Devices series, because Jim is in this and Tessa. Great times, but I'm probably gonna go through some of these tabs and like read them to you. Oh, okay, this is really interesting. So on page 99, I remember specifically on page 99, this is, oh, let me wrong page. This is when Malcolm basically admits that he is the murderer, because this is what he says. He goes, okay, they're watching a movie, they're watching Notting Hill, and he's like crying because love and whatnot, and he goes, I came to Los Angeles to bring back love, Malcolm said, his dark violet eyes mournful. Excuse me, yes, he just told you that he is the murderer and that he literally came back to Los Angeles to resurrect his old flame. Like, there he is. And then at the end of the book, when they're starting to figure out that it's Malcolm, I think it's Emma, and she was like, he legit told us that he came here to bring back love. Thank you. If you would have like noticed that sooner, actually if someone told me that, I'd be like, oh, that's cute, not be like, oh, you're a murderer, like he is. And I really feel bad for Magnus and Tessa, because Malcolm was their friend, and the entire time he thought they were lying to him about his ex-girlfriend or his ex-love or whatever, but they really had no idea that she was killed by her family, and so they thought that they were telling him the truth, and so he died thinking that he had no real friends, which was really sad. But anyway, oh, here, okay, this is like the perfect description of Emma. It's like on page 16 right at the beginning, and I laughed out loud, so I had to tap it. And it's when Cameron Ashdown calls her, and Emma's like, I'm done, like, can't be with this guy anymore. And Christina was just like, use your I statements, Emma, use your I statements. And she goes, this is about me, not you, she said into the phone. Christina gave her an encouraging thumbs up. I am sick of you. And I laughed so hard, because that is Emma sass. She is super sassy and just like doesn't care at all. And that was just like the perfect moment where I was like, this sentence is the epitome of Emma Carstairs. Okay, and so on page 45 is when Julian is first described. He isn't introduced yet, but he is first described, and I tabbed it because, like I said, I'm obsessed with Julian, and I love the way that he's described here. And it's just so, like, okay, I can picture him perfectly, and he's beautiful, and I love him. And so, of course, I had to tap that because I just love Julian so much. I am trash for Julian Blackthorne. It's fine. Here's one of the quotes that I absolutely loved. I tabbed a lot of the quotes that I really loved, and here's one on page 92, and Malcolm says this, and he says, there's nothing more important than love and no law higher, which I think is great because, hint hint, Julian and Emma love each other, but they can't be together because Parabatai, and I really hope there's some way that they can be together because I really want them together. That's another thing about this book. It like broke my heart because the whole time you're just like, all right, what can be so bad about Parabatai falling in love? Like, just tell her you love her, just tell him you love him, and it'll be great. And like the first time they kissed, I don't know where it is, but oh, that's the beach scene, isn't it? That's the first time they kissed. I tabbed the heck out of that. Like, the heck. Oh, I just tabbed the entire chapter 18. That's the beach scene. Like, do yourself a favor, and if you don't reread this book before Lord of Shadows, just reread that scene, chapter 18, because whoo, so good. Okay, so I just really think that they're perfect together, and I love how much Julian loves Emma. And like the thing is, he deserves her so much because he has given up so much in his life, and he became parabatai with her so they wouldn't take her away from him, because he just like couldn't even think about the thought of them taking Emma away from him. So he was like, let's be parabatai. And in Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy, you get to see their ceremony, and you can tell they both regret it 100%, which is really sad because it's like an unbreakable vow, and like once it's done, it's done. But I really just think that they deserve each other so much. They've both given up so much, they've lost so much, that they just deserve this one good thing in their life. And like the whole time you're thinking, okay, seriously, what could go wrong? And then you realize that there is some magic in parabatai love, because when Julian gets shot by Perfect Diego, thank you very much, and it's poisonous and he's supposed to die, and even Malcolm was like, you legit should have died, how are you here? And it's because Emma healed him with her love, and like that shouldn't have happened. And then you're starting to think, okay, maybe this parabatai love, maybe there's something to this. And then a little bit later they start doing runes on each other and they are glowing, and you're like, magic is happening. And then I think it's Magnus that tells her, oh yeah, it's banned because, or no, it's Jim tells her, good old Jim. And they're just like, yeah, it's banned because the magic is way too intense for anyone, and it's like super powerful. And I'm just like, huh, everything's fine. I just want them together so bad. And at the end, when after she's done talking to Jim and she's like, how do you get someone to not love you? And Tessa was like, you just have to break their heart, you know, tell them you don't love them. And I'm just like, don't do it, don't do it. But also, it's like for your own good, but also we could figure out another way. And she tells him that she doesn't want to be with him, and breaks his heart. And poor little Julian, he's just like, no, you're just saying that. You're just saying that because you're scared. I still love you. I will wait for you. And I'm just like, my heart. Oh, I almost forgot. And then, and then I'm really excited to see this in Laura's Shadows, because Emma is like, hey Mark, I need you to pretend that we're dating because I can't tell you why. And so, oh my goodness, it is going to break me to see Julian react to Mark and Emma dating, because Emma told him many times, there's nothing between me and Mark, blah, blah, blah. And now they're secretly like fake dating. Emma, honey, what are you doing? But also excited for this because Christina's gonna be like, are you serious? Like, this is what? So it's like this bittersweet thing, because it's gonna, I don't know, help Emma and Julian, but also hurt Julian and me, but also make Christina jealous. So I'm like here for that. I'm super petty, I know, it's fine. Okay, one of my other absolutely favorite quotes is on page 531, and Emma's father actually says it when she's like having a dream, and I just love this quote. And he says, as long as there is love and memory, there is no true death. And I just really, really loved it, because that is so true. Like, as long as you remember someone, they're here until you die. Like, there's no true death as long as their memory's here. And I just really, really love that quote. All right, and let's talk about how they found another Herondale. Like, what is Jace gonna think? He's gonna be, either he's gonna be really excited and be like, yeah, there's someone else in my family other than Tessa, because Tessa was married to a Herondale. But he's gonna be like, yeah, there's another Herondale, woo, or he's gonna be like, what? I thought I was the only one, because you know how Jace is, you know how he is. I love him. I'm so glad that we got to see Jason Clary in this, and Magnus, because I love Magnus so much. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. Like I said, like all of these characters are like my favorite of all time. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where the storyline goes with Christopher Herondale. Like, that'll be really, really interesting. And actually in Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy, seriously, if you haven't read that book, go read it. You actually find out the backstory of why like there was a missing Herondale, and it's pretty interesting. And so I'm really interested to see how Christopher will adjust to the Shadowhunter life, because he was raised hating Shadowhunters, and so you could tell when they first tell him, plot twist, you're a Shadowhunter, he's like, no, I am not a Shadowhunter. But like, why wouldn't you want to be a Shadowhunter? Yeah, their laws are stupid. I agree with the Blackthorn's family motto. What is it? It's like, a bad law is no law. 100% agree, you know what I'm saying? I tabbed a lot of Malcolm's quotes because he did, like, I don't know, hint at what he was doing a lot, and I thought this was really ironic. On page 90, when he's talking to Emma, and she was just, like, talking about something, like some medicine, and Emma goes, "That would wake up the dead," and Malcolm literally goes, "Necromancy is illegal, Emma Carstairs." Sir. Excuse me? You know what you're trying to do? Because I know what you're trying to do, and it is super illegal. And yeah. And this one I thought was really interesting because, you know, at the end, Malcolm is like, "I hated all the Blackthorns from the very beginning. Like, I never liked Julian or anyone." And I, like, don't believe that, because listen to this. On page 161, Julian was like, "Thanks for helping. We know we can depend on you." And Malcolm, it says Malcolm's face turned somber despite the bright noon light reflecting off the ocean. And he said, "Don't depend on me too much." And then Julian was like, "Why not?" And he goes, "Because I'll let you down. Everyone does." Like, he just, like, I don't believe that he hated them, because he literally turned, like, sad and was just like, "I'll let you down." Like, he was worried about letting them down. So I don't believe for one second he hated the Blackthorns, because who could hate them? I'm gonna read you this, like, paragraph of Julian, because I don't know, I read this paragraph and I fell in love with it. It's about him painting, and I just could picture it perfectly, and I just thought it was so beautiful. I don't know, maybe I'll feel the same. It's on page 196, and it says, there was even, okay, he's going on the roof to paint and stuff, and it said, or Emma's going up there, and she goes, "She's been up here too many times to count. The roof was flat, easy to walk on, only a slight slant at the edges where the shingles gave way to copper rain gutters. There was even a folding metal chair up here where Julian sat sometimes when he painted." This is the part, get ready. "He'd gone through a whole phase of painting the sunset over the ocean. He'd given it up when he'd kept chasing the changing colors of the sky, convinced each stage of the setting sun was better than the one before, until every canvas ended up black." Julian has my heart and my soul, and he just, like, sees the beauty and everything, and I love that, because it's true, you know, you look at a sunset, you're like, there's nothing better than that, and then 5 minutes later you're like, there's nothing better than that, and it's just beautiful, and I just love that passage so much. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this one I put a blue tab because it's about it's about Julian, but also because I cried, and it's talking about the first time he started thinking of the children as his children, and it says, okay, it talks about when he was 13. It says he'd tripped and fallen, twisting his body around so that he would land on his back and head, not caring if he was hurt as long as Tabby was alright. He'd cracked himself pretty hard on the head too, but he'd sat up upright fast, his mind racing. "Tabby, my baby, is he okay?" It was the first time he'd thought my baby and not the baby. Like, there's tears in my eyes again, because that, like, it just shows how loving and caring Julian is, and he's just such a good character. How do people not like him? It just, oh my goodness, I just remembered one of, like, my favorite scenes in the entire world, when Mark gets in trouble for sharing one of the fairy secrets on accident, and they come to whip him because of Kieran. I want Kieran gone so bad, like, so bad. But anyway, they come to whip him, and Mark is just like, "I hate you, Kieran, but I'll take my punishment." And Julian is like, "Oh, no, you will not, because I will take it for you." And they were just like, that's an idea. And he goes, "I've killed fairies before. Mark hasn't. Whip me." And Emma's like, "No." And Mark's like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, Julian, step up." They magic up a tree, and he goes, and they start whipping him. And Emma's like, "Oh, heck no, that is not gonna fly." So she goes over there, knocks Julian to sleep, and they're like, "How could you? Oh my gosh, we'll just whip Mark." And she's just like, "I've killed fairies more than Julian, blah blah blah, just whip me." And Mark's like, "No." And they're just like, "Oh, we won the lottery today." So they start whipping Emma, and she, like, blacks out after a while because you're being whipped. And I just love that scene so much, because it just, like, shows all of the love, because Julian saves Mark, and then Emma saves Julian for Mark, and it's just, it's just great. And they're like, why did you do that? And she's like, hello, I love you. But also I love that scene because that's when Mark starts hating Kieran, even though like he starts being nice to him again, and I'm just like, Mark, no, like get rid of Kieran. And I'm really upset that he's gonna be in Lord of Shadows because I really don't like Kieran, but you know, it's fine. Oh, speaking of the whole whipping thing, I love this line, like, you go, Julian. Okay, on page 606, when Julian is talking to Kieran, and he goes, without me, you would have been defeated this night. And Julian goes, probably. I'll remember to be grateful every time I see the scars on Emma's back. Mic drop. Like, I just love that line so much because Julian is sassy in that moment, and like burn Kieran, like I said, don't like him, so anything against him I am all for. And then at the end I tabbed when Magnus, Clary, and Jace come into the picture because like I said, old characters, I love them so much, and they come because there's this splurge of magic and they're like, what's going on? And like it broke my heart when they were like, Malcolm was the necromancer, he's the one who murdered everyone, murdered Emma's parents, and Magnus is just like heartbroken because they were friends, and it just broke my heart because Magnus, like, I love Magnus. But in the back of My Lady Midnight is a small short story at Isabel and Simon's engagement party. By the way, congratulations, Sizzy, I love y'all so much. And then Jace proposes to Clary, and what does she say? Like, I am salty at Clary right now because she was like, when they returned, she would have to give him her answer. She dreaded it. Why would you dread saying yes? Because you can't say anything other than yes. Like, you can't. It's fine. Whatever. But anyway, that I guess is it for this book talk. It was kind of everywhere and just kind of my feels about how much I love Julian. But that's okay. I'm gonna say quick my Lord of Shadows theories, which are probably way off because I am terrible at this. I kind of already talked about it. She said that 4 people are gonna die, and I am hoping, I don't know, but I'm hoping it's Kieran and Perfect Diego because they have got to go. And then I'm assuming that a Blackthorn's gonna die. Like, there's a lot of them. Like, one of them is probably gonna die, and I think it's gonna be Drew because we know the least about her, so it'll be the least painful, but still painful because Julian's pain is my pain. Also, the 4th person to die will be me. But honestly, I don't know who else is gonna die. Like, I'm really nervous about that. Like, what if it's one of the old characters? What if it's more than one Blackthorn? Like, what if it's Mark or Helen? I will not be okay. Another theory is I think that Julian might go a little bit on the bad side because when he started wrapping up the whole story, he was a little too good at that and a little too good at placing the blame on others. But we will see because I have complete faith in Julian because I love him. Also, I think that the power between Julian and Emma is going to get super magical, and I feel like someone else is going to find out. They're either going to tell Jim or Tessa or Magnus. I think that's who they'll probably tell, but I guess we'll see tomorrow. And I really hope my pre-order comes in tomorrow because I'm ready to get up on that and start reading it and fly through it. And it's 703 pages. One more time, 703 pages. This one is, what is it, like 685? Let's see if I got that right. Let's see. Maybe less? Oh, it's 668. So like this one's big, but that one's even bigger. I don't have enough tabs for that. I gotta go get more tabs. I'll go to Walmart today. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this really ranty, all over the place fangirl book talk. And I hope it reminded you of some of the things in case you didn't reread this. And if you just want to talk about it, just comment down below. No Lord of Shadows spoilers if you've already read it by the time like you watch this video or something. But yeah, I'm very excited. I hope you are too, and I hope you enjoyed this. But thank you so much for watching me rant about Julian Blackthorn and my love for him. But thank you, and I will see you next time. Bye!